So this is a how-to video for replacing your brakes on a 2003 Ford Explorer 4x4 V8. So first we're going to chock the back wheels. We're working on the front brakes, so of course you jack up the front of the truck here, and we've pre-loosened these lugs on this tire. So you just take these off and then take the tire off. So this is the best way to replace your brakes. Usually they'll have you take these bolts off here to take apart your caliper right here, which just creates too much work. And then the way that I'm doing it, you don't have to bleed your brakes. So you're going to take this bolt off right here to release the whole thing off. And then there's also one more bolt down here at the bottom, and we're going to use an 18mm socket to take those off. And then we're going to put the tire right here to rest this on here so you don't put any stress on your brake lines or anything like that. So now what you're going to do is take a C-clamp and put it on here, and to compress this piston right here, because that's what's holding your brake pads on this rotor. And once you do that, it will release this for the next process. So you can take off these back bolts back here that I'm going to show you in a minute, and you'll be able to just pull this right off of this rotor. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to compress this piston right here, and that will do that. So for this top bolt right here, you might have to use like a breaker bar, and that's what I did. But you got to be careful of these cables right here because you don't want to mess those up. But yeah, it's just very awkward to get in there. But I didn't have the right extension, so got to make do with what you have always. So this is your brake caliper and everything removed off of that. Like I said, without taking all this stuff apart. Now all you got to do is just pop these brake pads off. They just slide right out. But you'll use the old brake pad to finish compressing these pistons if you haven't got that flush, because you'll want that flush, and it'll make it easier for you getting the new brake pads onto your rotor.
Here we are using a C-clamp and the old brake pad to compress the pistons on the caliper. Some people will use a piece of wood to do this, but I find it's easier to use the old brake pad.
Here's the old ones, and these are the new ones that we're going to put on. So when you buy your brakes, you'll want to get some of this stuff, probably right there at the counter for $1 something, and you're going to coat this metal right here where it makes contact on the caliper over there, and it's supposed to prevent it from squeaking. And you'll want to do the back sides of these just on the metal, and then you'll want to make sure that you keep your brake pads themselves right here clean, and you don't want to get any of that stuff on there at all. So you'll just want to coat all that like we're doing right now. Now they're ready to be installed. Also, just to let you know, on these brakes, these ones are universal, but a lot of times you got to pay attention to which side goes to what, but it's pretty self-explanatory. You just put the piece where it fits. But these ones, like I said, are universal, so it doesn't matter which side you put which pad on. Now you just have to watch these little metal brackets right here when you're sliding this in, because they want to get in the way, so that's probably not typical. Last time we replaced them, it wasn't as bad as this, but we just got a screwdriver and kind of moved it out of the way and finally got that pad to sit in there where it's supposed to be at. And then now we're going to pop the other side on and throw this back up on the rotor. For if you had any fingerprints on the rotor here, you'll want to clean those off with brake cleaner, because you want that surface clean so your brakes don't slip or anything. So now the caliper is back on the rotor, and those two bolts I told you about are tightened on here, keeping it on. Now it's time to put the tire back on and put the lug nuts back on, and you'll want to repeat for the other side. Once you're done, you'll want to pump your brakes to set that piston back to the right level, but you don't need to worry about bleeding your brakes or anything. So now I'll put the tire back on, and then that completes this. So if you're wanting to replace your rotor, all you have to do is, once you've taken off those two bolts for the caliper, to remove that, just all you got to do is just lift this rotor off right here, and that's as simple as it is. And you slap your new one on. You're going to want to clean it with the brake fluid cleaner, just like we did on the other side, and that's basically it. Pop that one on. So here's the final process of the brakes. Start this truck up, and all you need to do is pump the brakes. They're going to be spongy at first, but you just keep on pumping them. Just keep pumping them, you'll feel them get tighter, and that's making it where that piston holds on that brake pad, and bleeding your brakes is not necessary. So that's it.